What's up, everybody? It's Wednesday and it's time for Pop in Politics. We are talking about the latest in hot topics, news, and entertainment. I'm KJ. Let me introduce you to my co hosts. Of course, we have Shelly E.
Hi.
Back with us tonight is Nicole Bennett, Director of Black Conservative Federation. How are you ladies doing tonight?
Wonderful.
Great.
Good, good. All right. So, as I always say, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We're on YouTube here and also Rumble. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify under the name Pop in Politics. Here on YouTube, your super chats and donations go a long way in helping us produce conservative content. Any amount is appreciated. Folks, this is not just a podcast. This is a movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. Stand with us. Subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right, ladies, let's set it off. Lots to get to tonight. I don't even know where to begin. We are so close to this election. What is it? Is it what? Is it
14 days.
14 days.
14 days.
That's it.
Well, all right. Well, people are losing it all over, especially the left. The left is losing it because of people like this. Take a look. This is clip number 8.
What are your feelings, and let me start with the women here, about Kamala Harris?
She's a woman of color. I'm not putting her down because of that, and I'm not putting her down because she's a woman. I'm not a feminist, so I'm sorry. But at the end of the day, I don't think that she has the personality. I don't think that she has what it takes to go up against Putin and go up against these other presidents that are built for this. I don't want to be scared because my president is scared. I want my president to feel secure and manly and about it.
We brought up gender, right? Like, do you think it matters that she's a woman and people aren't comfortable having a woman in a top leadership role?
No, I don't think that, because most men, they love their mothers. They love their wives. So as a woman, most men, they respect the woman, but she just don't have the qualification or the education to really run America, because she don't have the experience. She don't understand our struggles. And for me to believe you for another 4 years, you're crazy.
Right.
Like, you're crazy. You're saying the same thing that you said 4 years ago.
So the fact that she's the vice president
That's
to
just
you
the
is
bottom line.
You're like, you've been here, you've had a chance.
Yes. Well,
Wow. So, Shelley, do you think their opinion is widespread amongst the electorate?
So I hear Keith Sweat's song. And this is what I think the Democratic Party is singing. Something, 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 something just ain't right. That's what they're singing tonight. That's what they're singing. And I am ecstatic about it. I think this, Barack Obama, I think he awakened a sleeping giant, a sleeping bear, whatever animal you want to substitute. But he stirred up something. He has lit a fire, and the nerve of him to do so. But for our benefit, that's a good thing, because I'm glad people are awakening. Not only are the Black men, but I'm seeing more Black women starting to speak out too.
Yeah, Nicole, what are your thoughts on that exchange? I mean, do you think people are starting to wake up and they feel like Kamala Harris has already had her chance?
Listen, I've heard that as we traveled across the country. It's a refrain that you hear over and over again, not only from Black women, but from Latina women. It's not that she's a woman. It's not that she's a person of color. It's just that she doesn't have what it takes for the job. So when you think about it in a very common sense, she's like the guy that you are dating, and he's really not the guy. You know what I mean? You try him out for a little bit, and he's okay, but he's definitely not marriage material. You're not going to promote him. Kamala, I'd go out and have a drink with her any night. Cocktail, go to a fundraiser. She looks like a barrel of monkeys kind of fun. But to lead the greatest nation this world has ever known, absolutely not.
Yeah. And it's come down to safety as well. A lot of people are talking about a major issue is safety in this election, preferably, especially for women, not just around locally, not just about the state, but the nation. Take a look at this. This is clip 5.
So I'm gonna vote for Donald Trump, and this is why. That's shocking of me to say. 1, your homegirl can't afford groceries. 2, how Afghanistan was carried out. 3, how everything is happening between Israel and Gaza and the Middle East at war should not be handled how it's being handled right now. Ukraine, Maui fires. All of those are perfect examples of the government mishandling taxpayer dollars, not being there for the people. Like, let's just talk about Maui for a second. How the government responded to that was actually wild. Let's talk about North Carolina for a second. How the government's response to that was actually insane. It was one of those realizations that if there's a natural disaster, the government is not going to do anything for you. And because of that, I cannot support the current administration. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, I'm an independent. I do all my own research. And it's actually quite terrifying to even put my opinion out there because it is so different than other people's. But one thing I've learned from marketing is it's really easy to spread an agenda that you want to spread. So that's why I'm very careful while watching the news is what agenda are they trying to get across to me. Because I don't go about this decision lightly. I vote for my family, my future kids.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what she said made sense. It's just good old common sense. Shelly, what are your thoughts on that exchange?
Absolutely. I like the cat trying to get whatever was in their bowl.
Me too.
So.
I love that cat.
So, yeah, it made common sense. And that's the thing. She looks like she could be a millennial. I'm just guessing her age, but she looks like she could be a millennial. And millennials are pretty matter of fact, right? They want, if it makes sense, it makes sense. They're not into all of this, colorism or skin color. They just want, they want what they want at the time. They want to just make sense, basically. So she stated that eloquently. Another thing is that, again, she is a female. Again, as we just said, more women are coming out. Again, we're focusing on Black women, Latino women, but they are coming out. I do not think, no, I know that the Democratic Party had zero idea. They did not expect this for any October surprise.
Yeah, I mean, and you tell me what you think, Nicole. When we hear Kamala Harris on MSNBC, which she was just recently on with Bret Baier, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, at these town halls, is she conveying a future vision for the country? Is that connecting, or is she even conveying that? What are your thoughts there?
I don't think she is, and for two reasons. One, her coronation, right? She didn't have the ramp up time to really set up an active campaign to kind of plant the seeds of what her policy points were going to be. The one thing that she said that was very true during the Bret Baier interview was that Donald Trump has been running. And that's the way you're supposed to do it. When you're looking to be the leader of the greatest nation the world has ever known, you just can't be the person that got tapped on the shoulder because the other guy couldn't do it. You don't have enough time for America to buy into what you're saying. So she leaned into colorism. And when that didn't work, she leaned into sexism. And then, it was happy, happy, joy, joy. And now she's screaming and hollering and ranting and raving. And she doesn't like Christians. She doesn't like Jews. She has gotten to a point where her frustration level is so high that, can you imagine her in a Situation Room? Can you imagine her getting reports that, Iran has a nuclear bomb that we didn't know about? What are you going to do? Israel's mad at you because you wouldn't back them up. What are you going to do now? You can't move your neck and snap your fingers. That's not the solution, sis. That's not it. She's just not fit for this job. She just doesn't have what it takes.
Yeah, I totally agree. And what we're seeing here, as you just mentioned, she's starting to kind of get frantic now. She was doing a town hall or a rally, I think it was just yesterday, and there were people there that were chanting for Trump, and she starts screaming, in a frenzy about it. So again, this isn't somebody you will want in leadership, that can keep a calm, firm hand. She starts screaming at the protesters and she lost her cool. She totally lost it.
But that's what I was telling the team to do, right? The first presidential debate, well, the only presidential debate that we had, right, not counting Joe Biden, right? So when he was going to debate her and people were telling him, stand at a certain angle so you look more youthful, I said, none of that. What you need to do is make her angry. Push her buttons, because even if she's got 0.1% of the black girl that she's claiming, she's got a button somewhere. And if you push it, she's going to let you have it. And listen, I love being a black woman. It is the blessing of my life next to being born in America. But I'm going to tell you, there's something about an angry black woman that America just cannot abide. Had he got her to act the way that she's acting now in that first debate, this would be a wrap. It would be long time over. She's not doing herself any favors. I get that her team is tired. I think she's on her third or fourth team at this point. It's getting to a point where, you know, she's going to have to find it in her somewhere, that quiet, still place. And when people are kind of coming for her, she's going to have to stand on it. This wouldn't be an issue if she would have done those hard interviews in the beginning, right?
Yeah, but I don't believe that, number one, with all the different teams she's had, I don't think she is able to maybe focus herself, right? Because she's so hell-bent every chance she gets, everything that she does or doesn't do is because of Trump. So she has no other playbook except Trump. So in a sense, maybe by default, Trump is really running her campaign.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
He's definitely written space in her head. That's for certain. I mean, my goodness. You know, she can't answer a question without bringing Trump in. And whoever on her team has given her that advice, you know, when you have a candidate that doesn't have solid platform, you say, listen, it gets tight. This is your home base. Come back to this thing. And usually it's another policy point. Come back to you're going to fix immigration. Come back to you're strong on the economy. But because she doesn't have an immigration fix, and because she's not strong on the economy, and she probably can't name maybe 8, maybe 9 other countries outside of this one, right? So she doesn't have foreign policy chops. She has none of this to fall back on. All she has to fall back on is that Trump derangement syndrome, and she's starting to look like Trump
deranged.
Yes, that's what I was.
Wait a minute, I'm sorry, Nicole. You said she can't name countries. You don't know that she has met with 150 world leaders, presidents, prime ministers, chancellors, and kings.
Going to state dinners at the White House does not qualify for meeting world leaders. Okay, listen, I have this thing with people who say, I've met this person, I've met that person. You know, I've met 1,000,001 people in politics, 1,000,001. Is there anything that I've learned from these people? Did I glean anything? Do I have a working relationship with them? You know, or did they meet me and was like, oh, hey, hi, Nicole, how are you? Shake your hand and going about their business. That's not what we need in a president. What we need is when Trump the giant walks in the room, because people who've never seen him in person, the very first thing they turn around and say to me is, my God, he's huge.
Yeah.
Yes. He's a whole man, honey. There's nothing short here. You're not missing one thing, a whole brick house. He's a whole man. And they go, oh my God, he's so big. And then they hear his voice and he has this larger than life personality. Even when people come in and they want to dislike him, they find on, you know what, he's
a likable guy.
He's not that bad.
People in swing states are saying that. Polls out today sampled 5,016 registered voters in Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. When asked whether Trump or Harris would do a better job of defending against threats to democracy, 43% picked Trump, while 40% picked Harris. This is the New York Post reporting. So they're losing it over there, so much so that I believe it was today, Kamala Harris came out with this crazy press conference, talking about, once again, comparing President Trump to Hitler. I have the clip here. Let me see here. I want you guys to take a look at this and give me your thoughts. This is clip 9.
So yesterday we learned that Donald Trump's former chief of staff, John Kelly, a retired 4-star general, confirmed that while Donald Trump was president, he said he wanted generals like Adolf Hitler had. Donald Trump said that because he does not want a military that is loyal to the United States Constitution. He wants a military that is loyal to him. He wants a military who will be loyal to him personally, one that will obey his orders even when he tells them to break the law or abandon their oath to the Constitution of the United States. In just the past week, Donald Trump has repeatedly called his fellow Americans the enemy from within, and even said that he would use the United States military to go after American citizens. And let's be clear about who he considers to be the enemy from within. Anyone who refuses to bend a knee or dares to criticize him would qualify, in his mind, as the enemy within, like judges, like journalists, like nonpartisan election officials. It is deeply troubling and incredibly dangerous that Donald Trump would invoke Adolf Hitler, the man who is responsible for the deaths of 6 million Jews and hundreds of thousands of Americans. All of this is further evidence for the American people of who Donald Trump really is. This is a window into who Donald Trump really is, from the people who know him best, from the people who worked with him side by side.
Oh my gosh.
You talk about grasping at straws, my goodness. The next thing is going to be Donald Trump farted in 3rd grade. You know, oh my God.
I'm sick of her lies. First of all, she's lying. Number one, John Kelly is talking about something he experienced, whatever conversation he had with President Trump years ago. That's number one. She's hearsay, second and third hand information. And to say that you want a military like Adolf Hitler's, maybe Hitler might not have been the best person to use, but the sentiment was that you want a military that is going to obey your orders. He is or will be commander-in-chief, not obey your orders to do wrong and to break the law and to run over the Constitution. That is so wrong. That's number one. Number two, she talks about Trump saying he was going to use the military against American citizens. That's not what he said. He was referring to, the question was asked, I think, by Maria Bartiromo, if there were riots after the election on November the 5th. Trump said, yeah, I will bring in the National Guard or whatever the military. Unlike Nancy Pelosi did not do, she didn't do for January the 6th, when the National Guard should have been there. And then they perpetrate these lies that 100 and something police officers were killed on January the 6th. That's a separate lie, but it's all intertwined. And then the last thing, the enemy within, he was not talking about Americans. Nope. He was talking about the deep state, as we call it. He was talking about all of these rogue CIA, Department of Defense, Pentagon, whatever other 3-letter organization, NSA, where they have so many people who are American citizens, but they work against Americans. They want to usurp our Constitution, and they want America to be something other. I'm sick of her telling this lie. She doesn't have any playing points for her own platform. She doesn't have any policy except maybe giving Black men more weed, okay? She's pathetic. She is lying. She's a pathological, and she is dangerous.
Yeah. Agreed, Shelley. Agreed 100%. So, we saw this press conference, and I grew up in a Jewish neighborhood. So I have lots of Jewish friends. I am what they call Jewish adjacent. So we're going to have a Jews for Trump virtual meeting with Bonnie Glick, who runs USAID, and her sister, who is Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. They call him Bibi. She's Bibi's senior advisor. Okay. So this is going to be it's going to be on October 28th. I'll give you guys more information. It's sponsored by the National Federation of Republican Women. It is going to be very interesting. Bonnie is, when I talk about a powerhouse, she is an absolute powerhouse. And I'm looking forward to seeing what her older sister is like. I mean, if this is what the baby sister turned out like, I'm very interested to see what she has to say. I will say, though, what I noticed when we went to see Bibi speak is he misses American support. He misses America being, the ally that America used to be. This whole thing where they're like, well, do what we say or you're not going to get this, or do what we say, you're not going to get that. That's not an ally. That's not.
No, Yeah, and to bring it back to this press conference, I don't understand why. Well, I do understand the press does not correct the record and does not correct what she says. Before we get into this, I do want to highlight our super chatters here, guys. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you guys. Who do we have here? We have Brony James, Master Bricklayer says Kamala ain't black because no black woman would allow themselves to be destroyed the way Tulsi Gabbard destroyed her in the 2020 Democratic debates. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. And Terry's in our special in our club. He or she is in our Freedom Seekers Club. Guys, you got to join. We give out behind the scenes looks at what's going on with us ladies. We give out members only videos and clips. Definitely join our Freedom Seekers Club. He says Kamala is going to lose. Yep. We gotta vote, y'all. Everybody has to vote. Kung Fu CJ with the $5
Kung Fu
says, "Hello, ladies. Remember, we know God is still in control. Hallelujah."
Absolutely.
You are right about that. All right, Kimmy Joe with the $5 super chat says they're trying to get her over the threshold so they can implement their communist agenda 2030. Yep, absolutely. And Terry with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Says they will say anything to get this fake lying white woman selected. She is not qualified. Black men for Trump.
Amen.
Thank you.
Amen.
Yes, indeed. Guys, 4 years. It's 4 years in a week ago from today. They tried to push on the whole Biden laptop thing. If you remember, they helped Joe Biden get to the White House by blacking out the coverage of his international pay-to-play scandal, of the Biden of the laptop. They refused to cover the story. Said it was a waste of time. The outlets was putting out doubt, casting doubt about it. And look, behold, it was true. And they're doing the same thing. She is losing in internal polling, and they are livid. They are frantic. And now they are pulling out all the stops. And of course, it goes to fear mongering by comparing Trump to Hitler. And they're going to wind up, there's going to be another attempt on his life.
For sure.
I think so.
For sure.
I think so.
Do you know when you talk about incitement, that's precisely what that is. You talk about racist, that's exactly. When you invoke the name of Hitler, especially with Israel being at war, especially with Israel doing everything it can to defend itself. And let me tell you, people can say what they want about Bibi, about Benjamin Netanyahu. Say what you want about Bibi, but there is not another man, with the exception of Donald Trump, who loves his country like that. When I tell you he's picking off these bad guys left and right, Hamas can't hide anywhere. Hezbollah can't hide anywhere. They could be at their great-grandma house around the corner under a rock. He's got a drone video recording, taking their last breath. That's how serious he is about defending his nation. That is the same sentiment that Trump brings to the table. And all we get from Kamala is, well, I'm black and I grew up in a middle-class neighborhood, and you better thank a union worker. You know, what?
But you know what else just drives me crazy about her is that she's phony. She pretends that Trump is this bad man, this boogeyman, but yet every chance she gets, she likes to take these little digs at him, right? She wants to mock him, but she's supposed to be the joyful one. And this is supposed to be a new way forward campaign. Kamala Harris is full of it, okay? What she just stood up there and read, and I don't even understand why they would have a press conference about that. Because why didn't John Kelly stand there?
She didn't take questions.
Why didn't John Kelly stand there with her? Again, it's 14 days away. Not that I think he said anything wrong. Maybe he shouldn't have used the image of Hitler because people will react differently. However, the president of the United States is also the commander in chief. And what does a commander want? You want a military that will carry out your orders. Again, we have no evidence. We have no evidence, nothing, no experience that Trump has usurped the Constitution or started any kind of militia. Nothing. We have zero for them to even assert that that's what he was going to do.
Well, what's happened here is there was an article put out in the Atlantic by a air quote journalist, because he's not, Jeffrey Goldberg. He's editor-in-chief of the Atlantic, which we know is a far left propaganda outlet. He published an article on Tuesday with glaring fabrications about former President Trump's interactions with the families of fallen service members and his outlook on military leadership. And this is why Kamala came out with that press conference. But this has all been debunked. The family members of the fallen soldiers that they were referencing, one is Myra Gillian. She's the sister of the fallen soldier, Vanessa Gillian, whose family was featured as proof in Goldberg's piece, slammed the outlet and Goldberg for exploiting her sister's death. As you guys can see, she put out this responding to that, says, "Wow, I don't appreciate how you are exploiting my sister's death for politics. Hurtful and disrespectful to the important changes she made for service members." She says, "President Donald Trump did nothing but show respect to my family and Vanessa. In fact, I voted for President Trump today." Myra's comments come after he claimed that Trump displayed contempt, rage, parsimony, racism at the thought of helping the Gillian family pay for Vanessa's funeral. So this is another thing. It's been MSNBC, Joy Reid have been pushing this, that he made some comments about Mexicans and said he didn't want to pay for these people's funeral. And it's terrible. It's terrible the way they have lied.
You know they're desperate. They got to go all the way back for John Kelly, whatever he said. Oh, they pull something out of a conversation, supposedly. They got to go all the way back. They're desperate.
They're looking for that October surprise is what they're looking for. They're digging for it. But one of the things that I'm so grateful for, and that every dark cloud has a silver lining, Elon Musk and X. Do you know what I mean? When there's a flat out lie and you know it to be a lie, before we had at least some conservative media that was a little bit mainstream that would pick up a story and do that kind of thing. With X, a family member, just like her sister did, can jump on, straighten it out, and then we the people press, can just share it and get it out there and make sure that everybody sees it. I am so grateful to him for making that investment in that platform, because without it, can you imagine? Well, we don't have to imagine, because we know what happened in 2020, right? So I think it's a wonderful thing that we have this, but I also think America is starting to wake up to this one-sided media that we have. And I think for a lot of reasons, I think people are turning to alternative sources for news. And when you look at how young people get their news, they get most of their news from X, or IG, or some sort of short media.
Speaking of that, I want, and I know I'm throwing this at you guys, just out of the blue, but we try to give our audience ammunition so they can take this stuff and push it out to people to push back against the mainstream media, against the left, against Democrats. I want to run down the top 5 news stories that have been debunked and proven wrong by the mainstream media. Now, I said one, which was the laptop story. They came out, they tried to keep that quiet. They said it wasn't true. That came out to be true. And that was 4 years ago and a week from today. That was
the Charlottesville lie.
Yes.
The Charlottesville lie. Number 2, where they said that, what was it?
The media tried to say that he was saying Nazis and white supremacists were all good people.
There's good people on both sides.
They cut it. They didn't say the whole clip. He specifically said, "I'm not talking about Nazis and white supremacists." He said, "I'm not talking about them. They're not the good people." He specifically said that.
Absolutely. That's number 2. I got 3, the 60 Minutes interview, where CBS News used deceptive video splicing to replace one of Kamala Harris's answers on the 60 Minutes, and then to make her sound less awful. We know this was a splice. It was they did not put out the unedited version of that to this date. They have not put it out. They refused to release the undoctored transcript, but it was doctored.
Exactly. I have another one. Now, this is not Trump specifically, but I would say he was an impetus for, or he certainly talked about it, fake news, and how the government was basically directing social media companies and to censor mostly conservatives and Republicans or those who had opposing voices. And what happened last year? Matt Taibbi, Barry Weiss, they came out with this bombshell. I mean, item by item timeline report showing how the government under Biden's administration has infiltrated, I'm using that word, Facebook and other social medias to tell them, particularly around the Hunter laptop, around that time frame.
Yeah. They just proved that. I think it was today. It may have been yesterday. Who is Fonnie Willis's married boyfriend, her ex-boyfriend?
Nathan Wade.
Now is saying, yes, he met with the Biden White House. Yes, he met with the Biden DOJ. Because let me tell you, Gorilla Grip in prison, you know, I'm not going to prison. I'm just going to be honest with you. I really appreciate the people who dig hard enough to find those stories. Another story that they did with Trump, but kind of Trump adjacent, that really made me angry was the women on The View and a couple of other women talking about how Melania no longer loves her husband. She absolutely hates him. She wants him dead. Nothing could be further from the truth. If you've ever been in the room with these two people, it makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up. Kind of like when you see people who are really in love with each other, you know, the couple that can't keep their hands off. Yeah, that's who these people are. Oh, well, she wasn't there at the convention. Of course she was at the convention. You know where she was? She was in that luxury box with all of that good voo and Dom Perignon and all of that, having a great time. She did not need to be in front of a camera. It was
she came out on the stage.
Of course she did, twice, but she wasn't being nominated. You know what I mean? Like, this is her husband's thing. She's there to support. And there are so many women who admire Melania. You know, all of the Women Federation, the Moms for America, the Moms for Liberty, all the women were there, and everybody just wanted to see what she had on. And people hung out in front of that door just to get a peek, to stick a cell phone in there and get a picture. You know, some people who were lucky enough to sneak in, she was like fawning all over him, glowing all over him. Where they got that story from, I will never know.
No, we got another hope. They do. They lie. Another one. How they said Joe Biden was sharp as a tack. The whole entire media establishment said Joe Biden was fine. Basically,
running the circles around his staff.
Right. Exactly. Otherwise, you were shamed. You said that you were giving fake news. Remember cheap fakes? John Liar coined that phrase. Cheap fakes. It's cheap fakes. You guys don't know what you're talking about. Biden's great. He's not wandering. He's not, losing it. He's not, doesn't have any type of dementia or issues with that. And then we saw the debate performance.
Exactly. Of course, how can we forget the Russia hoax?
That's what I was about to hit on.
Right? It took us several years. The man was impeached twice, all kinds of stuff. And then only to come out that Mueller did not find anything in the report. That in fact, the person who colluded with Russia was the DNC and Hillary Clinton.
Right? Absolutely. So this is what we talk about. This is what I like. We just gave at least a top 5 of the biggest media what would we call it? Biggest media lies just in the last 5 years or so. So, I mean, this is what it is. This is why we're seeing, to kind of bring it back, this is why we're seeing Kamala Harris do a press conference with nothing but fear mongering. They are scared. And so they say the last resort we have is to scare the shit out of Americans. We got to make them think that Donald Trump is going to be a fascist. He's going to be a dictator. When we know, we have example after example, it's not true, and the media has lied about it.
You know, it's hard. It's hard to believe that the media keeps telling people, don't believe your eyes, right? The crazy thing is, we know what a Trump presidency looks like. We've already had him as president. It is remarkable to me that they're saying, well, yes, he has a record, and yes, he did great things for the economy, and no, he didn't act like a dictator, but this time he's really going to do it this time. Even her body language, when you turn the volume off and just look at her body language, you can tell she's lying because she's doing this the whole time. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the blowout. I think the blowout looks amazing on her, right? The blowout looks great. I like the necklace. They've got her style to high heaven. But the moment she starts talking, she's playing with her hair. She's fiddling with her face. And body language experts will tell you that's an indicator of people who are not being truthful.
Oh, she's lying. She's a lying woman.
Yeah, she's got to be ashamed of herself.
Yeah. Oh, it's no doubt about that. But again, they're losing it. The left is losing it, folks. We got to be careful as we approach this election and afterwards, because I have no idea what these nuts are going to do. Take a look at this woman. This is clip number 7.
Hi. I want to know how you can vote.
We can't answer the door right now, but if you'd like to leave a message, you can do it now.
Shameful.
Are you the one that walks by here and always screaming at people?
No, I haven't walked by recently.
Okay, because a lot of people walk by and scream.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. You are voting for the devil. Don't you know that?
No.
Why are you voting for him?
Because I believe he is the moral candidate.
Oh, my God. You for that one.
That's
moral?
Exactly right. That's how your side acts.
Oh, my God.
That's
He's
how
the most immoral person around.
In your opinion, that's okay.
Oh,
yeah, I'm sorry. Have a nice day. Have a nice day. God bless you.
Wow. Folks, this is real. This is real. We are here. We are in Maryland. We see this type of stuff all the time. They are losing it. I want to get you ladies in. Before I do, I have to acknowledge our super chatters here. Guys, we certainly appreciate you. We have Antoine just wow. Hey, Antoine.
Thank you, Antoine.
$5 super chat says, I'm only on here to complain about communist Kamala Harris and request some curry chickpeas.
Yes, Antoine. Yes. Those
chickpeas
for everything.
Chadwick with the $10 super chat says, proof that it is about fear. A close friend of our show, right, is going to jail for 3 years for praying in front of an abortion clinic. What does that say to women that disagree with abortion? Jail time. Yeah. That he's talking about Bevelyn Beatty. Folks, This is Bevelyn's information. We will put this also in the description. If you want to send financial support, there's links there also to write her. She is a patriot,
absolutely
super patriot, a strong pro-life advocate, and she is unfairly sentenced to 3 years in prison. She's a new mom, newly married, so please reach out to her. And we had a whole show about that. We can link our old previous clip of what we talked about as far as the story and what's going on with her. All right. Tijuana Border Jumper with the $5 super chat. Hey, ladies, late but still here supporting. We'll catch the restream. Stay strong and sharing the truth. Thank you, Tijuana Border Jumper. Kimmy Joe with the $5 super chat says the media was silent when Biden told the soldiers, you can clap now, stupid SOB. Wow. Okay. I'm not even familiar with that one. Thank you so much. Terry with the $5 super chat. Even he's a freedom seeker. Says Kamala lies and all of her lackeys just fall in line. Candace is going to provide the October surprise.
We're working on it.
She's working up to it, isn't she? She's working up to it.
Dropped it all this week. I think it was yesterday.
You dropped the tea, girl.
MJWP with the $5 super chat says, y'all are always bringing the truth. Thank you. We appreciate you. And Kung Fu CJ with the $2 super chat says, tell them, KJ, they don't know. Right. Yeah. We gotta lay it all out. Terry Love. Thank you. $5 super chat. Thank you so much.
Wow.
We certainly appreciate it. Made a guide with the $5 super chat. And Kamala calls Trump Hitler, yet she allowed DOD Directive 5240.01 to be edited, which violates the Post
Comitatus
Act. She won't give up power.
No.
I know. They have shown us so many times they're the dictators. Yeah. And they continue to blast President Trump. Brony says Jamal Bryant shamed the entire Black church community with that satanic display for Kamala yesterday with the $5 super chat.
We talked about it, Bronny.
We did. Check out our videos on the link on our YouTube. We have a video out now talking about it. He certainly did. But we know Jamal. Jamal's from Baltimore. He's a liar. He's a cheater. You know,
I remember when he was a young pastor, church I used to go to, we would partner with his church. So
he's nothing new there. Nothing. He's a grifter. Nothing new there.
But this lady on this clip,
Oh yeah.
First of all, the wench had the audacity to come up to somebody else's property on their walking path, knock on the door, and try to chastise someone else about their vote or their sign in their yard. I think the homeowners, they were very nice and cordial. I know they were just, I get it, but it could not have been me. I'm sorry. It would not have been me, because I would have said a few things, and she's talking about F God and all that stuff. It would have been a whole lot said. You know what? I know we like to be called, we classy or whatever, but I ain't lying. The Baltimore ning word would have come out in me. I'm serious. It would have just come out.
Okay.
These people, they will try you. We talked about this on the show. We worked the Republican booth at the Baltimore City festivals, and some of these leftists, they are bold and they are nasty and unhinged. But what they don't realize is we are Baltimore City conservatives. They don't know, we're new Republicans. So we can get nasty now.
First of all, you know what, KJ, the thing that cracks me up about this video, because you see this acted out, I see this acted out all the time, right?
Yes.
Especially when you're a Black Republican, especially when you're a Black woman Republican, and have the nerve to have red or conservative values. If people think, because we don't think like they do, that there's something wrong with us, right? And rather than just say, I don't really understand your point of view, God bless you, girl, hope your candidate does well. No. How dare you not believe what I believe?
Right.
And F you on top of it.
They're enraged.
The crazy thing is one, I don't know what neighborhood this is where she's coming up, ringing people's doorbells and talking trash to them. I don't know what part of America that is, but I'm going to tell you the level of freedom matches the level of audacity, right? This woman has the audacity on 1,000. She's out of her mind. But I love the way the homeowners react. They're like, God bless you. She's like, F you,
That makes them even more upset. Anytime you say God, don't say Jesus. That really, really riles up the demons in them.
And that's what I think is going on. I think really they have been brainwashed. And they're wondering, well, how come you're not drinking the tea like I drank the tea? I need you to drink the tea. I drank the tea. I gave up everything I believed in to drink the tea. Now you drink the tea. I don't want any tea. I don't want any tea.
To your point, I just had literally a coworker get upset with me because he asked me who I was voting for. I didn't say anything. I wasn't around showing political things at work. He asked me. And when I said Trump, he gets upset. I'm like, look, I started laughing. To the point, another coworker told him, why are you acting like that? You asked her. I was just laughing because I wasn't even going to give in to, but the Joker asked me. I didn't bother him.
Right. But this is how hypocritical their line of narrative is about Trump and Republicans wanting fascism. Most of the time it's like that. We don't go around in our social time asking people, who you're voting for and trying to turn the conversation political. Or if someone says they're voting for that, we can either have a rational conversation about, why, or it's just like, okay, we move on. But when they hear that we are voting for Trump, there are two things. One, they just have TDS and they hate Trump and they just are unhinged behind that. And then number two, they become so annoyed that Black people are conservative, that Black people are voting for Trump, because they feel like we need to vote for who they tell us to vote for. And we should not vote for Kamala Harris.
It really is. I think for two things, I think is a very interesting point. One, this is not a rational thought process by any stretch of the imagination. However, this, from a political standpoint, this is why polls don't really work, right? With the polling doesn't really work, because you very well may call somebody to ask them polling questions, and they're like, oh, well, survey questions. Oh, well, I'm here with my family. Of course not. I'm not voting for Trump. Oh, of course not. But they get in that voting booth and they're going to do what's on their conscience to do. So I don't give a lot of credence to what the polls say, that kind of thing, unless I'm in a community and I can kind of catch the vibe from the people in the community. And we have in major cities. I'm not saying, everybody in Chicago loves Trump. I'm not saying that, but there are enough new voices that are coming to the fore that are saying, hey, hold on, we need to think about this. We need to be much more thoughtful about how we cast our votes. I mean, so we've been voting the same way for 50 years. We still don't have anything. The schools are worse. And now we got all of these illegal immigrants to live with on top of it. Maybe we should consider doing something differently, right? Yeah. I think that thought process is coming to the front. And I think what Barack did, like you said, KJ, kind of exacerbated that whole process when he said, no, you're going to do what I tell you to do. Right? Come on, brothers. Yeah. You go vote for her. Stop being misogynistic. And they're like, well, wait a minute. I like her. I think she's nice. She's just not presidential material. And you coming out telling me what I'm supposed to do. I'm a grown man just like you are. Yeah, I'm a grown man just like you are. And you're not going to talk about me. And I think that was probably, we've been chipping away at Black men for probably about 18 months now, just chipping away at them. But boy, that Barack Obama bomb helped us more than anything. More than anything we could have done.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about the way that they call us fascists and things like that. Well, take a look at this. So during a Tuesday pop-in at a Democratic campaign office in New Hampshire, Biden called for more political persecution of Trump. These people are not, and they tell us in small glimpses, they literally say what they are about. Take a look at this. This is clip number 1.
He is talking about doing away with the entire Department of Education. He's talking, he means it. This is not a joke. This is a guy who also wants to replace every civil servant, every single one. Thinks he has a right under the Supreme Court ruling on immunity to be able, if need be, if it was the case, to actually physically eliminate, shoot, kill someone who he believes to be a threat to him. I mean, so I know this sounds bizarre. It sounds like if I said this 5 years ago, you'd lock me up. We got to lock him up. Politically lock him up.
Wow.
First of all, look at him looking like the Crypt Keeper. He's barely alive. They should stop doing this to this man. Let him enjoy his golden years. Just let somebody sit him down and give him an ice cream cone and a nice blanket across his lap and let Peepaw do his thing. They have got to stop doing this. You can barely hear him. And that dementia shuffle that he's doing, trying to walk across the stage, doesn't lead doesn't inspire you to believe the words that he's saying. And then he's talking about Trump wants to kill people who may be trying to kill him. Why would he not? Let me say this. If somebody was trying to kill me, I have the right to defend myself, right?
Well, I was going to say, not only that, the Secret Service would probably do it for him.
Well,
Probably. I said probably. They probably would do it for him. That's number one. But what he said was he's telling you their translation that they want to either take Trump out literally or they want to put him in jail so that if Kamala gets in office, they're going to remove any kind of immunity and they're going to keep these all of these cases going to make sure he goes to jail. This is what they're saying. That's what the translation was.
The weaponization of our government continues, and it is ridiculous. We have gotten so far away from we the people. It is absolutely shameful where we're standing right now. This shouldn't even be a contest. There should not be any right-thinking American that can take a hard, truthful look at what these two candidates bring to the fore and say, she's all right. She's all right. There should not be, this should not even be a race. By election day Tuesday at 9:15 p.m., we should all be going, well, that was nice.
First of all, I even thought, why are they bringing him out now anyway? Why are they bringing Biden out
They
now?
can't keep him locked up for long. I think he still has somewhat of an ego. We just saw somebody, I think it was Chaotic Truth, says he defecated in his pants a couple years ago. So, they're tired of cleaning up shit in the White House.
Well,
so they said, let's get this man out, let him walk around a little bit and give him some sense of normalcy. But the real thing about this is, as we know, it was a slip of the tongue for Biden, but it's really about fear. They are scared out of their minds that Trump is going to win. And they know that coupled with Republicans controlling Congress would likely mean not only investigations into all of their shenanigans, abuse of power, corruption, all of that stuff over the past 4 years, but accountability of all of the wrongdoing. And it scares the living crap out of them. So they are going to do everything they can. Believe me, y'all. This is why we gotta stay vigilant. They are doing everything they can to keep Trump out of the White House.
Absolutely. I think they also brought Biden out because Kamala is not as popular. She's not carrying that wave as much as they thought. Biden still is more popular than Kamala is in the Democratic Party. Okay,
absolutely.
She just was selected. Okay. So they brought him out now because her popularity, that little honeymoon period, is really drying up. They needed him to stir up the voters on the Democrats or whatever, because I think that's another reason why. But he's telling us what they intend to do.
Right. Listen, I agree. Be aware and prepare. Be aware and prepare. And everybody has to vote. If you're a conservative person and you're busy, I'm a busy person. I'm an incredibly busy person, right? I've got a job. I've got some hobbies and some other stuff going on in my life. So voting early is going to work for me. I've already set aside a time in the day, Sunday, in between church and brunch. I'm running over to go cast my vote. But what happens, sometimes you get so busy that you're like, oh, crap, I missed my early voting thing. And now I have to take a whole day off to go wait in line to vote. It becomes a headache. Let this be a headache. Wait online those 2.5 hours, because what's going to happen is they're going to try everything they can. Like these people in Maricopa County talking about they're not going to have their ballots tabulated for 12 to 13 days.
Yeah, we have the clip here. Take a look here. This is clip 6 talking about that. Take a look, Maricopa County.
Anyway, very tight races here. In fact, Maricopa County is setting the stage that tabulating all these votes may not be an election night thing. It may take days.
Wow. Well, 12 News journalist Colleen Sikora explains that county leaders are asking voters for patience and to be prepared.
Tight races, high interest in the election, and a 2-page ballot are leaving Maricopa County officials warning of lines on Election Day, and also warning it's going to take them 10 to 13 days to tabulate results. 2 pages and an average of 79 contests per ballot.
We are expecting heavy turnout this year, and so that's why we're really encouraging people to vote early.
2 weeks out from Election Day, and some votes are in.
More than 400,000 people have cast their ballot in Maricopa County.
That's out of an anticipated 2.1 million voter turnout this year.
We are seeing a little bit of a lag of where we were in 2020, but the last few days we've actually seen an uptick in turnout. So I am expecting that we will start approaching very close to those 2020 numbers.
What can impact the amount of results released and when? Early ballots dropped off on Election Day.
Our races will be close.
And on Election Day, lines are expected, even with an increase in vote centers and voting booths at those vote centers.
If you're going to vote on Election Day, vote in person and use that on-site tabulator so that those votes will be tabulated on that evening, as opposed to dropping off your early ballot on Election Day.
The county adding more high-speed tabulators, more election workers.
We're increasing staffing at our ballot processing as well, because again, we're handling double the number of the sheets of paper. And so we are looking to both have extra shifts, night shifts, if necessary, in ballot processing, and then in the next step that takes place in election administration, and that's through tabulation.
But
this is sick.
I just want to roll my eyes so hard at these people.
Yeah.
This
First
is
of all,
absolute
why
nonsense.
is it taking so much time? Why is it doing this? We have done this for years and years and years and years, and we have always known who has won, the winners and losers on election day, night.
Right.
Why
Exactly.
is it taking so long now?
Do you know
they are telling us in coded way that they're going to be cheating, okay? 13 days before the actual, in-person, November the 5th, and then 13 days later. That's our damn near month, right? They are already telling us what they are planning to do. Cheat. It's no way in the world. All the technology that we have, even when people putting the ballots in the drop box. Well, you should have people in there and at your board of elections counting those ballots every damn day.
Mm-hmm. Listen, I agree 100% with you. One of the things that I kept hearing them say is dropping off your early ballot on Election Day. Well, if you're dropping it off on Election Day, it's not early, right? Early means before, not on the day of. One of the other things I'm hearing them complain about is that there are 2 pieces of paper instead of 1. Now, this was one of those counties that had a whole hissy fit about moving to a paper ballot. And conservatives, we are paper ballot people.
Paper ballot.
It's less likely that you're going to say, I punched this button when I really didn't punch this button. A lot of this, I think, is not a lack of preparedness, but this is a lack of willingness to do what it takes to bring to bear your ballots. It's not going to take New York City, which is much more populous, 13 days to count their votes. It's not.
It's not.
There's something very suspicious about it. The good news is that there are not going to be many counties across this nation that it's going to take 13 days. And if they think they're going to take
Maricopa County shouldn't take this way. Like you said, Kate, we've been counting election ballots on election day, no less. Way before 2020. Yes, we've had some hiccups over time, maybe some contested elections, but we were able to count at least 90% or more of the ballots on election day.
They're doing it on purpose.
Yes.
Let me tell you something. This started during COVID, and they're doing it on purpose to sow doubt and insecurity in America's voting system. We talk about this. It's due to communism. It's one of the communist goals. We talked about this, guys. They put out 45 communist goals for America. One is to sow discord and lack of trust in our institutions. This is the election voting systems. They're doing this because they know that this makes us think that our voting system is not secure. And so what happens? People become disenfranchised. They're saying, "Well, I might as well not vote. They're going to cheat. I don't think I should vote." And so it causes a deterioration and breakdown of our country and institutions. They are doing this on purpose.
On purpose. This is on purpose. Another thing I thought about when I saw that report, because the media, some of the reports are that more Republicans are voting early now, right? So now all of a sudden, 2020, you didn't hear this. Now all of a sudden they can't count the ballots for 13 more days. All of a sudden now, this is on purpose. This is on purpose. It's fraud.
Yeah,
it's absolute fraud. And the crazy thing about it is that these counties that are doing that, they're assuming that there are going to be other counties, that many counties, so we can't keep an eye on. There's not. There are not going to be many counties. So Maricopa, if you think that taking these 13 days and you're going to be, kind of under the radar, no, ma'am. That night shift's going to have all kind of eyes on it. Please believe. One of the things that I think that the Democrat Party has lost sight of is that America is a very different country now than it was in 2020. A very different country. People are less impacted by the mainstream news media, right? Less impacted because many people have cut the cord. Like me, I don't have traditional cable. I have, what is it, Fire TV and all this other foolishness my boyfriend put in my house. But I don't have traditional cable anymore. So I don't sit and watch, MSNBC or Fox 24/7. I don't, I watch YouTube. YouTube is one of my favorite things to do because I can watch as long as I want, pause it, come back to it, things that you can't do with regular TV. But this is something that everybody's going to be watching. 13 days, Maricopa, what are you counting on your toes? Come on.
Yeah. I mean, and according to the Federalist, in 2016, 241,519 absentee ballots were issued in Georgia, according to Savannah Morning News. The 2016 race was called by the Associated Press at 11:33 p.m. on election night. The last day to request an absentee ballot in the state for the 2024 race is October 25th. And WRDW reported Monday that more than 200,000 Georgians have requested an absentee ballot this election cycle. So that's about the same amount of ballots in 2016 when we knew the winner in Georgia before midnight. So again, why are they holding this up? They are doing it on purpose.
Exactly.
This is part of their plan. And we
keep
need
in mind,
to call them out.
They're telling us 13 days before election day that they're going to be 13 days delayed.
Yeah.
Who does that?
Yeah. So Patriots, you guys, our poppies, our viewers, do not let this derail you from going to the polls. Do not let this, deter you from voting. We need every single vote. Vote like your life depended on it because it does. It does. I do want to acknowledge our super chatters. You guys are amazing tonight.
Thank
you. Light Bearer with the $10 super chat says, my baby Coley is so smart and sexy. Jeez. Shelly gets the love. Coley gets the love. Wait a minute, I didn't finish reading it. Let me finish. Ladies, please talk to Black men. Most of us are conservative. They just don't know what conservative is or means. Keep up the good work.
Light Bearer.
Thank you. All right. Florida Belle, Deanna with the $10 super chat. Thank you. Says, ladies, it does my heart good to know that you are independent thinkers, and I sincerely think your message will resonate with those that are brainwashed. Thank you, Florida Belle. Thank you. Kimmy Joe with the $5 super chat. Says, here in Logansport, Indiana, kids are being kicked out of their schools for the resources for illegal immigrants.
Same like Chicago.
Yeah. Kung Fu CJ says, ladies, they hate this country. Yes,
absolutely.
They do. Yeah, absolutely. Novi with the $5 super chat says, did you know New York, Pennsylvania, Michigan, New Jersey, and Cali and Walsh put CV-19 patients in nursing homes during pandemic? Monsters. The death toll is like 1 million. God bless. Yeah, I know. Yeah, this is what we talked about it.
We talked about that.
We called out a lot of it, and they were deplatforming people back then. But I want to go back to something. I can't remember who said it, was talking about the schools. So one thing Biden in this last clip that we showed was said that he accused Trump of wanting to get rid of the Department of Education, which Trump has mentioned. Trump mentioned it, Vivek mentioned. What do you guys think about that, getting rid of the Department of Education? Is that something you think that he should do? Why or why not? I'll start with you, Shel.
I am for it. So let me tell you why. Primarily because it's a reduction in the size of government, the bureaucracy. The Department of Education is what do you call it? A behemoth, if you will. It really does nothing, if nothing, very little to encourage, to support real education that students need. How is it that they have all of this money that's supposed to be disseminated or have programs or whatever needs are for the states, yet our children still are not reading and writing, can't do basic math at grade level across the country, not even just here in Baltimore or Maryland, across the country. It's administrative heavy. It does not like it's similar to when you have money for local schools. The money doesn't get to the teachers in the classroom. It goes to the administrators. Well, the same for the Department of Education. It does not need to be. Take the money, taxpayers' money anyway, put it back in the states and in the local areas, and let parents, more importantly, let parents control where they want their children to go, and the money can follow the student.
I agree wholeheartedly. I absolutely agree. So, this is a fundamental question, mostly between liberals and conservatives, the way that we view the world, the way that we view the United States. Each state has its own characteristics, right? What kids do in New York City, they don't do in Southern Maryland. Right? What kids do in North Dakota, they don't do in Las Vegas. So when we talk about educating these children, we can't have one big overarching thing, and everybody has to kind of squeeze into that little hole to qualify. And that's what the Department of Education does. It sets out a set of mandates and says every kid should know these things. Well, okay, that sounds like a good idea. But what happens is they get so wrapped up in that list of things, we're not teaching kids to learn to love and live in the states that they live in. Where I live, kids like to hunt. We fish, we kayak, we do all those kind of things. But that would not work in a place that's landlocked. Why would we teach your kids kayaking when you have no water to kayak on? So this is what parents are saying with the Department of Education. You're asking me to teach my children, or you're paying, using my taxpayer dollars, to pay for education that's not appropriate for this particular group of children who live in this particular states. There are just some things that work better when the states handle it for themselves. We've got to get over this thing where the federal government knows everything. That's not the way it was designed to work. That's not what the Constitution says. It's not how we're supposed to live. Let the states do what states are designed to do. No one knows better about what happens in that state than the governor of that state and the people who work and live in that state. So giving power back to the states is something that I'm all in for on a lot of topics.
Yeah, I mean, and you mentioned one pivotal thing about this. It's the money. It's a scam. So the federal government has spent well over $1 trillion on K through 12 education. And most of this money goes to the bureaucracy, the bureaucrats working in government, keeping them with jobs. It was created in 1980 at the tail end of President Jimmy Carter's single term in office as a payoff to who?
Teachers union.
Teachers unions. Teachers unions. It all goes back to the money. They funnel money through the bureaucracy of government. A lot of it can be put in where it can be used better, but they funnel it through government so all these teachers unions and these bureaucrats can continue to get paid. And what Donald Trump has talked about is putting it towards school choice. So parents can decide, as you mentioned, Kelly, where their children go to school and how they are educated at a local level. But one thing I want to ask you guys, because what we have going on here in Baltimore City, a ballot issue, is Question H. And so this is a question, again, sort of goes back to the basic idea of smaller government. We are going to vote on whether we want to lessen the amount of councilmanic districts or council members, right, in the city. And so what is it from? I think it's
from 14 to 8.
14-8. And there's been some pushback against it because some people are saying we're going to lose some of the services with fewer council members. But then on the other hand, they're saying, well, look, it's not really run efficiently now. The city is shrinking. Why are we continuing to fund this larger government when we can, slim it down? What do you guys think of it? I'll start with you, Shelley.
Yeah, I am absolutely for it. Number one, it reduces the size of government. I say my thought is that if we have fewer people, politicians, councilmen, why am I paying for an extra 7 or 8 people and the services are not there anyway? They're there to make more laws, make it more cumbersome on my life, more taxpayers out of my pocket when I can use that money to handle many of my own problems that the city doesn't even provide for right now anyway. So it to me, it's counterproductive, and that's putting it lightly. It's inefficient, and not only that, Baltimore's population has significantly decreased. We are slightly under, I think, 550-something thousand. So why do we need 14 people not representing us?
Yeah, I want to get your thoughts on this, Nicole.
Listen, here's my thought. Again, I'm a big proponent of conservative thought processes. When we talk about government should be small and efficient. Exactly. When you have 14 people trying to come to a decision about anything, we could just take 4. I mean, ladies, we're friends. We got a bunch of friends. If you put 14 of us on it, and this has happened, on an email thread and said, where are we going to brunch this month? There were like all kind of answers, and it was hard to get an agreement. So what we started doing is just saying, let's go to brunch at this place. And then the next time somebody else can pick a place. Right. It is inefficient in its face. But when people really push back about smaller government, they talk about a reduction of services.
Right.
And that's going to impact, the lowest in earners in the system. But the truth of the matter is, when there are less people to feed at the top of the chain.
Exactly.
More money funnels down to the people who need it. And it encourages churches and schools and families to do the right things by their community. Exactly. Politics and government should be local, and it should be efficient. So if your population has dwindled, you need to reduce and insist that they too reduce. That's the trick, right? So that's how, sure, we'll give up a couple people. We're keeping the budget. No. You can't keep the budget. You have to make it tight. You have to make it right. The sweet thing about it is when you see people following this smaller government model, unexpectedly what happens is they're much more responsive to the people who elect them. Wow. There are fewer people to say, well, it wasn't me, it was her. It was, I didn't do it, it was him. When it's one person who's responsible for your area and you have a direct connection with them and you don't have to go through 13 other people, it changes the way that person governs, way that person legislates, and that way that person leads in your community. Definitely. I'm all for it.
Well, this is this goes back to the fundamental difference of how conservatives think and how liberals, or I should say leftists, think. From things like this, as far as small and big government, to even other things like UBI, universal basic income. I watched a panel yesterday of people, discussing that, and you have a big push for this from the left for universal basic income. But on the right, we say, well, no, we don't need a UBI, a universal basic income. We need, because what that does is it gives people, it makes people lazy.
It feeds that narrative of the social services and industrial complexes, as we like to call it, because it's like being Uncle Sam becomes a drug dealer, right? But he's just going to give you just enough to keep you coming back asking him for more. And that's what has happened in every single place they've tried this basic universal income. People first get it, they're like, okay, well, I'm gonna tighten up my light bill, I'm gonna pay this, I'm gonna do that. And by the third month, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna need more money because I need to spend this on these other things.
Right.
Yeah. The best thing that we can do if we want to see people move from poverty to a comfortable place, not wealth, but just a comfortable place, I like to call freedom. That's the comfortable place for me, is the success sequence, right? Graduate from at least high school so that you have at least a foundation of education. Do not have children before you get married.
Exactly.
Do not have to. And if you're already there and you already got the child, love your child, but don't have no more. Don't have no more.
Get a job.
What it does is it slows down your progress. Then you find yourself a job. It doesn't have to be the career that you're going to end up with, because many people have 3 and 4 careers throughout the course of their life. But get a job, work and earn money. Money feels different when you earn it versus when somebody gives it to you, right?
Exactly.
So following that sequence doesn't guarantee that you won't sometimes be in poverty. Sometimes you will be impoverished, but I will tell you, there's nothing like the feeling of having no money in your pocket, but all your bills is paid. You know, you got clothes on your back, your kids are happy, and there's food in your refrigerator, and you have a means to make that next pay period some more money, right?
Exactly.
That is the kind of freedom that you get when you don't have the government telling you who you need to date, who can be in your house, open your door and let me see if you're keeping your house clean. You know, all of these things come with strings, and people don't understand. Once you sign up, again, like a crack dealer, they rolling you right in. Oh yeah, we'll give you $60.
And the principle behind smaller government, it's so that Americans, citizens, you control your money better and better than the government or any government will, because you're closer. What is that? 7 degrees of separation. Well, you are literally firsthand to your own money. You know what's best for your needs, your family, whatever your expenses may be. You're going to spend your money better than any government that you don't even know who the ABC agencies are, the people are. You're going to spend it better. Now, like you said, to your point, Nicole, will there be some mishaps or maybe some lag years or whatever? Of course, there's going to be some downtime, but you still know your situation better. And if you have more of your own resources, you are best able to manage them.
Absolutely.
You're an adult. You don't need the tits. You don't need the titty. You don't need it. I mean, you just don't.
Yeah.
It's freedom. It's scary. It's scary when you come from a place of dependence, you know, and talking with some people in the Midwest as we were going across the country, and their question was, well, you're talking about us giving up on the Democrats. What are you going to give us? I said, I'm going to give you something you've never had. It's called freedom. It ain't free. It's going to suck most of the time. You're going to be at work on, why in God's name am I doing this? Lord, I don't even want to be here at work. But you know what you're doing? You're giving your family a sense of freedom where they don't have to answer to this bureaucracy for anything. They don't have to worry about who's knocking on the door, coming to tell you you can't have your 19-year-old son living in the house with you, your 22-year-old son living in the house with you. It gives you a sense of wholeness that you're supposed to have. You're never supposed to be. Uncle Sam is not supposed to be your baby daddy. That's not how this system is designed. It's not that way.
And that's another difference here. Many on the left are believe that we can reach a utopia here on Earth, and they believe in order to do that, you know, the government must supply basic needs, money, shelter, you know, food, things like that. To help us reach this paradise here on Earth that they are always in search of and believe that we will achieve one day. That's a major difference between leftists and conservatives. Now, what do you all think about? Do you believe we're going to reach some type of utopia here?
No,
whatever. It's a whole different worldview. It's a religious, it's a philosophical, maybe a cultural worldview. It's a mentality, a mindset, whatever word you want to substitute. But when you believe and know that you are the person responsible for your course in life, okay, you're going to make decisions. It's basic economics 101. There's scarcity and competition. You're going to make choices that will put you or keep you on whatever path you're going, whatever that direction is, versus somebody in these bureaucratic agencies telling you not only do you need to give them X amount of money, but when you make more, you got to pay the piper more.
Right, exactly. The thing is when you think about a utopian society, as a Christian person, you know, I work hard to someday earn my place in heaven. That's where utopia is. Here on Earth, it's dog eat dog, baby. You need to get out there and make that money, secure the bag. And the truth of the matter is, when we look at where young people are today versus where they were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, these young people are not having as many babies as teenagers. Right. People say, well, they're super selfish. I like that kind of selfish. Get your education, get you a job, save your money, travel the world, do your thing, and put in order the things the way they're supposed to be. You're not supposed to be a parent of 3 kids at 16. Our economy is not set up for that. You're always going to be dependent on someone. It doesn't necessarily mean the government, but your family or an organization, or someone's always going to be trying to kind of not only help you, but help comes with strengths. Help comes with, we need to collect data on how you got in this position. Being free costs a lot, but there's nothing like it. And that's what I told them. We were in Detroit. I told them, I said, there's nothing like being free.
I think more people are waking up. I think more people are waking up slowly to this principle too. I'm starting to see more people on social media talk about the government is too big, and they in different ways they might be phrasing it, but I think more people are waking up to this principle. I've been saying it for years. I've been advocating it for years when I started learning Republican principles. But these principles, just because they're mostly on the Republican side, these principles are really American principles. Hell, they are God-given principles.
They're common sense.
Just like you said. Common sense. And it actually, I mean, it's common sense, and the data shows that these principles work. According to the National Bureau of Economic Research, they put forth the largest study ever on UBI, Universal Basic Income, and the results were very, very disappointing to people who are advocating for it. I mean, 1,000, the experiment in which 1,000 low-income individuals were randomized into receiving $1,000 per month unconditionally for 3 years. First, it made the recipients poorer. That was the first response or result. Secondly, not only do the recipients work less, this happened to other adult members of the household as well. Unemployment duration increased by 1.1 months for the recipients. While they find people claiming to have more entrepreneurial intention, it didn't translate to action. So instead of them saying, well, I'm going to go to school, or I'm going to work, or I'm going to make my own business with this money, they wound up not doing anything. What they did do, they sat around the house, they ate out, they did self-care stuff. So by and large, they didn't improve themselves in any capacity. And they wound up in worse positions than they were prior to getting this income.
I'll give you a recent example of that. During the scamdemic, when our government forced businesses to close, and they basically not forced them, but they really had no other choice to take these PPP loans. Their businesses went under. A lot of them lost their businesses that they had built up, however small it was. They built it up for however long. Then they don't have a business. They don't have, they can't have projected income coming in because their business is gone. They rely on government loans, and they are worse off than if they had stayed open and kept even their small business. I mean, it really makes you want to cry when you think about the damage, and that's putting it lightly, the damage that the scamdemic, government-induced, caused to our country.
Agreed. I know so many private doctors who went out of business. Who just didn't have anyone in their ear with the professional know-how how to matriculate through all of that government red tape, because every day there was some new something. Every day. You can't be open unless you have this list in cleaner. You can't be open unless you have that. Every single morning, I would get to work 5:15 a.m. We didn't close for the pandemic. We couldn't close because of the community that we serve needed us. There was nowhere else for them to go. And plus, I'm a workaholic. So, we suited and booted and did what we needed to do. But every day we had to have a huddle about the new government thing that was coming down. And because the office is in the shadow of Washington, D.C., I did not have the luxury of saying, we're not going to do it. Like someone maybe in Iowa or in North Dakota could have said, well, we're so far away, they're not coming to check on us. I mean, we're literally down the street. So the likelihood of them showing up at my door, making sure that everybody had a mask on, that everybody had a shield on, was high. it was ridiculous to see these doctors who, went through medical school, went through residency. Many of them were hospitalists before they opened up their own practice, have to close their practice, not because they didn't have patients, not because they didn't generate revenue, but because complying with regulation after regulation. And some of these regulations would be one thing in May, and by October, it was completely different. And you would have spent $200,000 on foolishness.
Only to find out, Mr. Fauci, that more than 90% of them were utterly made up or useless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, we talked about this, and I really encourage you guys to take a look at Miles America, A Survivor's Warning. Mm-hmm. It's I actually have not read it yet, but I was listening to Megyn Kelly. She had the author on the show, a woman who is actually from I think it was China. Yeah, and sees the forthcoming of what they had going on there. She sees a lot of these communist things coming here. Specifically, she talks about how Kamala Harris and some of the things she talks about with equity and the divisiveness between the races and things. It's all done by design to push us towards communism. And so I'm going to get the book. It's She Van Fleet is the author. Miles America, A Survivor's Warning. She fled China to come here and thought that, she was safe and free. And now she's talking about she's very, very nervous because she's seeing things that happen there very relevant to here. So we talk about this all the time. Before we go, I wanted you guys to take a look at this last clip. Even Chris Cuomo, leftist Chris Cuomo, is actually slamming Kamala Harris. This is clip 2.
Kamala Harris is not a godsend, all right? You people didn't even like her 6 months ago. Now all of a sudden, she's black female Jesus, the way Obama was black Jesus. And let me tell you something. He had a lot more going for him than Kamala Harris does. And not just as firsts go, but his type of campaigning, his type of persuasion, his charisma, okay? He was imbued with things that she is not. And I don't mean that as a criticism. It's just a point of comparison. And her process fucked her also. There's a convenience in it, but it fucked her also. Because there are a lot of misgivings about her. There's an underlying feeling that she didn't get this the right way. She may not have won a primary. She didn't even make it to the first round of primaries when she did run. And that is both fair and unfair at the same time. But look, this idea of don't say anything bad about her because Trump, I don't buy that. I don't buy that. And it's not how you get to a better place. It's a relative assessment. She has negatives. So does he. Does he have more? Yeah. He also has a way more intense following. That's why this race is so tight. Now explain that to me. Unless you want to write off half this country as bigots, how do you explain it being so tight? Maybe you're not as right about everything as you think you are. Maybe you should be a little bit more open to the people that you disagree with. Maybe they're not all racists.
All right. He didn't even make sense at the end. So you're still saying Trump has more negatives, but the country is backing Trump. It didn't make sense to me.
The problem with these uber liberals, they are having some kind of existential crisis, right? Because by their standards, by their checklist, she should be the second coming of Christ, right? She's kind of black, kind of not, kind of Indian, kind of not, kind of white, kind of not, but she's a woman for sure.
We think.
So, well, listen, somebody call William, him or Montel Williams, they should be able to tell you. But from their perspective, there shouldn't be a reason for Americans to dislike her because she checks all their boxes. Well, the problem is she doesn't. She's not likable. She's not likable. She's not trustworthy. She's not honest. If I could believe only 25% of what she said, I'd probably look at her a little bit differently. But she's lying on top of lying on top of lying. And then she looks you in the face and lies to you. She's not even.
Let me say this. I was not a Chris Cuomo fan. I'm not going to say I'm one now, but I can certainly appreciate, you use the word existential crisis. I appreciate when a leftist or a liberal has a crisis and is willing to confront their own cognitive dissonance. And I think that's what Chris Cuomo is going through or has gone through, especially when he was kicked to the curb by his own damn people. Okay. So I think he has been seeing some light. I don't always agree with him, maybe more so lately, but I can certainly appreciate this transformation, if you will, that he is going through. Now, as far as him saying that Trump was had more negatives or whatever, okay, that's his personal opinion. Right. But he wrapped it up and he said the challenge was if he's so bad or his people are so bad, then you're the one that has to explain why he has such a huge following. So again, I appreciate his transformation and his crisis that he's going through.
Well, she's not only, as you mentioned, Nicole, she's not only a liar, she's stupid. She lies on one hand, and then on the other, she can only speak by looking at scripts that have been pre-written for her by her staff. She's not even a charismatic liar. I mean, you put
she can't even deliver the clips. I mean, she cannot.
Yeah, she's awful. She's awful.
Listen, they knew she was awful. They knew that she was awful back when she was running for president the first time. This is why she didn't have any delegates. Nobody voted for her. Right. They know what they have. But I will say this, I would happily go to a cocktail party with her. She looks like a fun girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's definitely the one that gets skunk drunk.
We go to
and everybody can laugh.
Yes, right.
Laugh with her and stuff, and then you gotta make sure she got home okay. She probably the ones that end up in the corner with some guy, and you gotta try to say, you okay?
I would go, Nicole. I would go too. I would go with you too. I think she would be fun to be able to, I would. And I would tell her right then and there, I'm not voting for you. But
listen, let's just clear the air right off the top, baby. You're not getting no votes in this friends group. We love you, but we don't love you in this capacity. Pick something else. I think there's a lot to be said for the things that she could do in a different capacity, right? That she's not a complete throwaway of a candidate. She's just in the wrong vein. I don't believe in throwing people completely away. We just have to find out where that square peg fits. It's not in this round hole. She just doesn't
fit. She belongs as a high school guidance counselor.
No, I don't want to.
But that's the only thing I could see her as, a high school guidance counselor.
No,
or in charge of the high school peer counselors.
I think she would be a great party planner. I think that would be a very strong suit for her. I can see her on HGTV. Kamala addresses a room. I could see her doing that kind of
collard greens. It's
right.
all good.
Well, no, she can't
she needs a manager. No leadership capacity. She needs someone hovering over her. When she starts laughing and giggling too much, just like the senator from New York told her, shh, get yourself together. What was
oh my gosh.
I forget.
The pastor that told that woman?
No, the senator.
Kamala told her shh.
Yeah, he told her shh.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what she needs. But I did see somebody chatted, put a comment, Chuck Schumer.
Yeah. Oh yes.
He shut her up. That's what she needs. She needs to be handled. But
she's
a communist. This is why she has been chosen. She is a communist. The whole thing she has been saying, the unburdened by what has been, they said that is a communist message.
It is.
It is a communist message used, I believe, in the Bolsheviks. I think the Bolsheviks used it. But it's a well-known communist phrase. She started out with that and she ends with equity, which is communist. This is what it is, guys. We got to open our eyes and call it for what it is. This is their plan. They keep showing us every day little tidbits of what they're trying to do, from destruction of our institutions to the education system, indoctrination of our children, all of it. The UBI, Universal Basic Income, they're saying this is needed because of AI is going to put people out of their jobs. It's not even true. This is why they're pushing us towards communism. We must vote. Vote.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Be aware and prepare. That's, when you talk about a slogan that is forefront, this is us raising awareness.
Right.
But we're also, as individuals, we need to be prepared.
Yes.
We need to be prepared. Worst case scenario, I like to do this a lot. Worst case scenario, this nut job gets elected. What are we going to do? Because wringing our hands and shaking our fists at the moon is not going to work. What do we do? Well, we're going to keep up the fight, and we're going to watch her like a hawk. Everything she do sideways, we're on top of it. Sure enough. But as a nation, what do we do when our sons and daughters have to go fight wars in foreign countries that this twit don't even know exist? I mean, we're putting ourselves in harm's way by even considering this candidate. She's not what this nation needs. And I know there are a lot of young women who are saying, well, she's, pro-choice, that kind of thing. But here's this is what I want to say to you. If you're a 57-year-old woman, maybe 58, and you're being featured in a Kamala Harris pro-abortion video, baby, this is not your argument to have. All the data shows that these young women are putting off that part of their lives. So what we have is this elite, college-educated, white middle-class women who are saying abortion, abortion, abortion. But we're not hearing that from the people who would be most affected by this. We don't see these young girls in the street marching for abortion. That's not what we see. We don't see that. You see people TikTok and I'm on my way to the abortion clinic. You don't see that. You see them talking about going to Paris. You see them saving their money for cars and that kind of thing. We have got to, I shouldn't say we have got to, but the Democrat Party has got to step up and match American culture. They're behind the wheel. And for years, that was us as the Republicans. We were considered antiquated. We were considered, too traditional. We've let them have that now. Yeah. We're doing what people need and we're following the instruction. But our level of awareness has got to stay high and we have got to stay prepared.
Absolutely. I do want to acknowledge our super chatters here, guys. Thank you so much. All right. Mark Slater with the $10 super chat says, correction on my other super chat, more than 460 different 3-letter agencies active today, created by DC. Oh yeah. And this is why we want Trump in office. And I mean, I know we always have to have a second plan, but I pray, as someone said, I think it was Allie, I am trusting in God to right this ship and give us a reprieve, and place him in office, place Trump in office. And again, I'm not putting my trust in an elected official, but I do pray that he gets into office. So that does it for us tonight, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. We will be back on Friday. You guys know Trump is supposed to go on Joe Rogan. Was it tomorrow or Friday?
I think it's Friday. I'm not sure.
Okay, so we are going to respond to that. So check out, if you haven't done so already, hit the notification bell so you know each time we go live, because we are going to talk about the Joe Rogan Trump broadcast. This might break the internet. This is huge. This is really big. So the reports say he cleared his calendar to do Joe Rogan's broadcast. And Joe Rogan can go on for hours and hours. They may take a whole 24-hour broadcast.
That's going to be a good interview. I think that'll be a good interview.
It will. So we'll be here to respond to that. So again, check us out either Friday or Saturday for our response. Until next time, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.